Arriving at the offer stage is an exciting and rewarding time for you and your client. If you represent the buyer, your searching is paid off and your client has finally found the one. If you represent the seller, you've diligently marketed and prepared the property for sale and you've received an offer from a prospective buyer. This is one of several critical junctures that you'll encounter during the countdown to payday. An offer is part of the process of moving from a buyer or seller's agreement to a sales contract. For the first time, the buyer and seller are coming together. This is a major financial decision and it can be a highly emotional experience for them both. Your goal is to bring them together and arrive at a sales contract in which both parties win. As with every phase to the countdown to payday, you need to work quickly and carefully during the offer process. And this session will prepare you to do just that using KW technology and MyTransactions. We'll discuss how to use MyTransactions representing the buyer and the seller. A buyer has found the home that they want to purchase and the seller is looking forward to concluding the sale of their property. This is when all the fun and magic begins. And whether you're representing the buyer or the seller, this is another opportunity for you to shine as a real estate professional. The diagram shows the overall process with both parties. The buyer makes the offer. The seller responds to the offer in one of three ways. They counter the offer, accept, or reject the offer. If they counter the offer, then you go into the negotiation zone, where the offer can go back and forth between the buyer and the seller. If they accept the offer, the contract to close process begins, and if they reject the offer, the buyer's agent will contact the listing agent to get the details on why. Depending on the results of those details, you may get back into the negotiation zone. As you can see, during this process, there can be a lot of back and forth of adding and removing documents, signatures, amendments, and addendums. In a typical transaction, this can make the documents a bit messy with scratch-outs, strike-throughs, initials, and signatures. MyTransactions can make this a cleaner, more organized, and easier process. Keller Williams Realty has partnered with dotloop to bring you MyTransactions, a web-based system which lets you manage your real estate transactions in a more efficient and cost-effective way. You can manage the entire transaction from start to finish without paper or ever having to travel. MyTransactions will allow you to facilitate the real estate transaction in a paperless or less paper environment by adding all of your people, documents, and tasks to the loop. When we talk about eEdge being a complete lead-to-close system, MyTransactions is the to-close part of that system. Everything in MyTransactions is based on the concept of a loop. Think of it this way. Instead of a manila folder for your real estate files, you're storing everything in the cloud in what is called a loop. Think of it also like a virtual conference table. Loops contain the agents, the clients, and the forms in a specific transaction. Loops are secure. The agent who creates a loop controls who can see what's inside and who can sign the documents. And all parties can create, edit, share, and sign documents online. You'll access MyTransactions from the eEdge control panel by expanding the MyTransactions menu, then choosing from any of the available options. This will take you to the MyTransactions homepage, where you can start a loop from either choosing the big plus sign or, if you choose List View, create a loop. When creating a loop, you'll be taken to the Loop Summary page, where you'll be able to manage the loop, manage documents, add local service providers, and add people and tasks for your buyers and sellers. This is the same process you would do if you were putting together a manila folder to manage a transaction. Let's say, for example, you represent the buyer and they find the property that they want to purchase. You have three actions to take. Prepare to write the offer and share it with your clients, and present the offer to the listing agent. When preparing the offer, you need to add the documents and the people to your loop. Documents are all of the real estate forms that are required for and or related to the transaction. There's just one copy of a document that all parties to the loop share. No more scanning, faxing, emailing, or handwriting. There are three ways to add documents to your loop or your transaction. The first is to select from your computer. For this, you have two options. The first is the traditional method of browsing for and selecting a file from your computer, or opening the location from your computer and dragging and dropping the PDF documents to the appropriate folder. Second is to select your form from the documents library. This would be for those that have the Version Now interactive forms or for those that have documents stored in their attachments library. And the third is to copy the documents from your uploaded email attachments. Every agent has an @upload.dotloop.com email address, and any PDF email to that address will show up in your email documents section of the Forms library. Your Market Center compliance team has the option of creating transaction packets. They contain all of the documents that are necessary in a particular transaction. For example, all of the documents that you would need in a buyer's transaction and all of the documents that are necessary in a seller's transaction. Next, you'll add people to the transaction. People are also in your My Contacts record within eEdge, and anytime you add a person to My Transaction, they're added to My Contacts. The documents you add will have fields automatically filled in with the information that you've added to the loop. Any fields that are not automatically filled in by using the Version Now documents will need to be added prior to sharing the documents with your clients. Your clients' information and placeholders for their signatures and their initials will be automatically added to all Version Now documents. Any documents that are not available through Version Now can be made into an interactive electronic document and will also have to be prepared prior to sharing. Next, you'll write the offer and you'll share it with your clients through My Transactions so they can sign it. Now you'll present the signed offer to the listing agent. You can share the document through My Transactions if the agent is a KW agent or if you have the co-op agent in your loop. You can also print so you can fax or download to a PDF so you can email directly. When you represent the seller, you have 4 steps to complete. Receive the offer, gather information about the buyer, and you'll gather details about the buyer, including how much they're putting down, what type of loan they're securing, and so forth. And present the offer to your client. Time is of the essence in real estate, and you have to be able to respond quickly in today's market. And when you use My Transactions, you can automatically be notified anytime a form is signed or changed. You can receive the offer in several ways. You can receive the offer through email, in PDF and hard copy, through a fax, or you can receive it through My Transactions if the co-op agent is a KW agent or the agent uses .loop. If you receive the offer through a hard copy or fax, you'll need to scan the document into a PDF format, then upload it into My Transactions using the Add From, Computer, or Email option. Once you have the offer back in your loop, you can share the documents with your seller. Your sellers will have the option to sign, view, download, and share the documents in their loop, and they can have access to the information for the next 7 years. One of the best advantages of using My Transactions is you start with a clean copy every time, and each revision is quickly accessible. If you have any questions, visit our knowledge base at answers.kw.com or email our support team at support@kw.com.